Hi guys. So I'm gonna do my little culture thing for the 3.1 assignment. My name is Sydney Harris. I am a secondary mathematics major. I'm a junior. I don't know if I already said that. And yeah, this is my video. So my culture, I think, is represented best by just Christian Southern American, which is really funny because whenever I was in high school, I would always say, I'm never going to be in the South. I want to get out, I want to go toward the West, I want to experience California, all these other things. And not that I don't, like, I still want to experience the rest of the world and the rest of what America has to offer. Um, but I definitely want to settle back down in the South. I just like the way that we do things here, and it's just a really comfortable place for the family. Just aligning with values here really, really well, but we'll see what happens in the future. All right, so an artifact that I kind of chose, and it's really weird, but who knows? So it's a frying pan, and in my opinion, a frying pan is just like the first thing I think of when I think of like a kitchen. I think of a dining room table, which is something that comes to mind when I think of a Christian Southern white culture. Because one reason is, several places in the Bible talk about Jesus doing a lot of his discipleship work in the dining room table or at kitchens, just centered around food, and food brings people together. Um, it is some place that I feel like we as Americans have really not taken as seriously as we should. And I feel like when I'm with my family and we're in our Southern culture, I mean, I feel like I am being discipled, and I feel like I am helping disciple those around me. Even if they're not my family, even if they're just friends, we're centered at food and we're talking about the gospel. And even people who are not Christians will come to events that have food there because free dinner, right? So that's the Christian side of it, but also the Southern side of it is that when I think of having people over, the Southern hospitality, it's always centered around cooking, it's always centered around food, and making people feel welcome. And again, people connect over food. That's just something that a lot of people like. And cooking is a really slow process. I mean, if you want to get it right, making simple ramen noodles, it's a 30-minute task. If you're doing it in a articulate manner and you want to be careful about it, like you gotta wait for the water to heat up, you gotta wait for all your ingredients to get together. If you're gonna put chicken in it, you know what I mean? Like, it's still a 30-minute process in the end. And then sit down and get your water and whatever you're gonna drink. And then imagine making a giant dinner with main meat, three sides, dessert and all that kind of stuff. Like that's a very long process. It normally takes people upwards to an hour to get the meal started, and then upwards to an hour to actually get it finished with all the cooking time. So it's definitely a slow process, but I feel like that's a good representation of what things are like in the South here. We're driving slower. We're not in a hurry. We want to talk to people. We get caught up in the moment. We like to just be around our loved ones, and we're not in a hurry to leave them. Sometimes the younger generation, they can get that way, but then as soon as they get toward the later years in life and they have kids, they realize that, man, I don't want to hurry. I want to slow down. I don't want life to move fast at all. So I feel like that's a good representation of Southern culture. I think I have pride in that because, like, I love my family and I love my friends, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm part of a culture that values spending time with people and values not hurrying life and not taking life for granted, and just wanting to fellowship with people around me. I think that's really awesome. On the flip side, though, a concern I have about it is that because food is such a center of our culture, and unhealthy food, fatty food, saturated, all this other stuff, it really teaches kids from a young age some pretty poor food habits and pretty poor food choices. Um, and I'm not saying that you're not allowed to enjoy food and enjoy life, but if that's all you're eating every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're not eating any vegetables, you're not giving it, a lot of water in your diet, I mean, I can't pull up the statistic right now, but I know for a fact that most of the obesity in South Carolina is in the southeast. That's just a fact. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then my text sets. So I already kind of brought up one of them, the Bible. I just It's just a really good representative of the Christian Southern white culture. Even if people don't actively read it and don't actively, share with it, there's going to be something like this in someone's house. Either because it's theirs and they personally use it, or because it was their mom's or their grandma's, and it was something that meant a lot to their grandma, and they would like to remember their grandma. So a Bible represented that. And then my other text set that I have is a cookbook. And this is actually a cookbook that my mom made us for Christmas 2 years ago that has just a bunch of family recipes. And the reason why I chose this is because food has a lot of linked memories to it. I can probably pull up 3 things out of this cookbook that instantly make me think of my grandfather or my grandmother, or being in Georgia with my extended family, or just being with my immediate family around the dinner table and just enjoying life together. And then, some staples: cornbread, sweet tea, okra, cheese straws, sausage balls, tomato cheese, muffins, cornbread, yeast rolls, pumpkin bread, dressing. Like, that's just kind of stuff that has it. And even says, bless the hands that prepared it, which is a funny little Southern prayer that we all do. So that's something. And the last text set that I have, which is something that I don't really have physically, but it's a book that I found online. I don't know if it's called Miss Manners, or No Hissy Fits, sorry, it's called No Hissy Fits, but it's about manners. And it says, a Southern Book of Manners. So this is a little picture book for children, and essentially what the role of it is to give kids a creative example of what manners look like. So the premise of the story was that the family was about to go to a potluck dinner, and they were going to be around their church and their friends and their family, and the dad was like, hey, we're about to do this, and I want you to mind your manners, so let's refresh them. And so, they started off with, always say yes ma'am and yes sir, which is kind of not beaten into me as a kid, but definitely something that was taken seriously if I didn't do it. Please, thank you, excuse me. You never went anywhere around anybody without saying excuse me. That's just kind of the thing to do. Bless you, excuse me, kind of stuff. I've got some notes right here. So I think the other thing was, share, be a good sport, clean up, like all of these little things that I feel like as a kid we were taught, and that kind of goes into the culture now, where like if I'm meeting a stranger for the first time, I do say ma'am, I do say sir. I do use those manners. I met a lot of people who, in restaurants when they served us, they had that Southern hospitality that people just like. So, and then the contrast of meeting somebody from a different state who might not be used to that. So I have a, friend who comes from Italy, and we were at their house one time, and we would say yes ma'am to their mom, and she would just start laughing, because in Italy, using the word yes ma'am is like sassy, like yes ma'am, like just trying to act like you know everything and you're being sassy. So it's really funny how that's used differently, but that's like a staple to our conversation in the South. So yep, that's it. Bye.